My name is Lakeisha Taylor, and I am in Professor Moon's SPED 500 class. I will be explaining the IEP process. The first step in the IEP process is the referral. Parents can request that their child be evaluated to see if they are eligible for services due to a disability that directly impacts their ability to learn. There's that little bit of language in the law that tells you the disability has to directly impact their ability to learn in order for them to qualify for special education services. So in order for that to be determined, there's first the referral, and the parent can give the referral, the teacher can do the referral, or other school staff can do the referral. And the next step is evaluation. Evaluation involves tests and assessments that are used to determine whether or not your child has a disability and if that disability directly impacts their ability to learn. It tests for cognitive, academic, social, emotional development. Any disruptions or delays in those developments, that's what it's testing for. And then if you as a parent don't agree with the evaluation, you are allowed to request an independent education evaluation at no cost to you. So there's another way for you to be sure, because if you have a question, you as a parent have every right to continue to push for your child to get the services that you believe they need. Once eligibility is determined, the child's disability directly affects their ability to learn. There is an IEP meeting, and that IEP meeting has to take place within. The next part is eligibility, and the eligibility says that your child's disability directly affects their ability to learn, and that could be things like their fine gross motor skills are not, they're underdeveloped, behavioral or emotional disturbances, cognitive skills are less than their peers. After eligibility is determined, there is an IEP meeting set. And the IEP meeting involves a team, and parents are part of that team. Parents are the expert on their child. So they are the most valuable source and resource for the team, for the admin, teachers, general education teachers, special education teachers, any child psychologists, any specialists, or any other service providers that may be part of your child's IEP team. You are the most valuable resource as a parent. So because you know your child in a more intimate, more in-depth way than their teacher does, because you know your child. So the components of the IEP are a statement of where they are presently, where they are academically and functionally at present. Then there must be annual measurable goals. Goals must be measurable. They are academic or functional, depending on your child, or both. How will the progress be monitored? How is the teacher going to ensure that what they're doing is working, and if it's not working, trying something else to make sure that those goals are being met? What services and supports will be provided? Any aids, e-readers, iPads, having the test read to them, things of that nature. Program modifications and supports that allows school staff to provide your child with their least restrictive environment, which includes them being with their peers that are both disabled and non-disabled together, so that they're able to just be included and very inclusive. They want to have their least restrictive environment. There's also an explanation of how much time supports will be given outside of the classroom where they're not in their regular class, because those minutes for each minute, those minutes have to be accounted for, because it is important for your child to be with their peers and to learn social interactions and to be able to have the modifications mostly as much as they can be brought to them specifically in their least restrictive environment, which would be with their peers in a regular classroom. So those minutes that they're not there, those have to be accounted for, and there has to be reason, and there have to be an explanation of those minutes. And then a statement of individual accommodations used to measure the academic achievement and their functional performance of your child. Their social emotional skills. There has to be a statement of individual accommodations being used for your child for academic achievement, standardized testings and district testings. For Virginia, it's SOLs, which are standards of learning. It's also PALS testing. So there has to be a statement as to what accommodations, if any, that your child is going to receive for those things. As a parent, it's very important to understand that your rights, and you have the right. You are equal partners in the team. You have the right to be at every IEP meeting. Nothing needs to be decided without your knowledge or your consent, written consent. You have the right to advocate for your child in any way that, if you want more testing, if you need more, if you don't feel like those supports are working, you have a right to voice your opinion and to advocate for the things that your child needs. You have a right to amend, to have to have the IEP amended or changed or modified or even taken away completely if that's how you feel at any point, because you're the parent. So as far as your involvement in the IEP process, it's very important. Again, you're the expert on your child, so that's invaluable to the IEP team. And students can also be a part of the IEP meeting. They can attend the meetings. They can ask questions. They once they're older and they're also allowed to, ask for modifications and things that they need. When they're younger, it's a little harder to have them involved. So if they were wanting to be involved or voice their, if their parents wanted them to be involved, or if you as a parent wanted your child to be involved at a younger age, they could be able to, they could be allowed to make introductions. They could feel, they can ask questions about, they can be asked questions and they can ask questions. They can be allowed in the meeting. They have every right to be in every meeting, no matter their age. So depending on the age, it's some parents don't, but you have the right as a parent. The student has a right as a student to be there. Follow-up is very important. Keeping communication with your child's special ed teacher, general education teacher, them communicating with you, keeping you informed of progress. You want to know how your child's progressing. Also, if there's issues that you're having, changes that you're seeing, it's very important for you to if you feel like they're going to affect your child's learning or how they learn or their behavior at school or any of these things, it's very important to communicate with your teacher, their special education teacher, general education teacher, administration, counselors, whomever you feel comfortable with. It's very important for you on that team you communicate with your team those things that are going on in your child's life, so that everything is always current and up to date, because the IEP is kind of a living, breathing document. It can change at any time through a process, but it can always change at any time because it's not set in stone. So depending on children they may outgrow what they need. So that can be changed, and communication is very important to determine if those changes need to be made before the annual meeting. Meetings are annual. They can be held at the parent's request at any time. And sometimes there are other meetings set during IEP meetings to check other goals. Maybe they might set a meeting for planning, or another meeting just to check to see how things are going, anything new that had been amended. But they're typically annual. I just feel like it's very important for parents to remember that they have the final say. It has to be their consent, that it has to be written consent, and there is nothing that can happen as far as the IEP is concerned without the parents' consent and knowledge and consent. And that's very important to remember.